G'day guys, how's it going? Just bringing you my weekly update on Bitcoin. A lot happened in the last week. I got stopped out of another Bitcoin short. I think I've said that nearly every week, but that's all right. As always, I use really good risk management. I don't really lose the whole of what I'm willing to risk. It's very rare that I do. And I actually had a really big realization about how I had been trading and potentially why I had been getting stopped out of so many shorts during the week, which was really, really good. It happened while I was talking to someone about something, which happens a lot. I've noticed that a lot, that I will, as I'm explaining concepts or talking to someone about different things, I'll realize, hang on, I'm doing this thing I shouldn't be doing, or I'm not doing this thing that I should be doing. Had one of those moments. I might elaborate on that further in another video. I won't go into it here any more than that. But what we'll do is we'll head to Tradingview and I'll show you guys what I'm thinking at the moment. Righto, so here we are. As always, I like to kick things off on the weekly. So you can see that the last week closed as a bit of a bear hammer. Not a super strong one, right? It's green. So, you know, price did close higher than it opened. But we did push up a bit, wick back down. So, you know, bit of a indecisive candle to some degree. There sort of has just been a bit of a period of consolidation all through the last, month, right? The last month we have been in a pretty tight range. And a lot of indecision, wicks to the upside, wicks to the downside, you know, a little bit of movement up. And when I say a little bit, I mean we've done 7%, 5 grand nearly. But, you know, it's just sort of, it's not doing a whole lot at the moment. Same levels as I've been looking at the whole time, you know, these two demand zones. There's obviously nothing to the upside because we're basically at all-time high. This long-term trend line, which you can see is from March last year, when you draw off the log chart, as I like to do. So yeah, not a whole lot to look at on the weeklies. I wouldn't take the, I'd barely even call it a bear hammer. I would consider it a bear hammer, but barely. I wouldn't really take that as much of an indicator we're going to go down. It's not a super strong one. On the dailies, these are levels that I'm looking at, and the big ascending wedge is something I'm definitely keeping an eye on. So an ascending wedge is a bearish pattern. They tend to break to the downside. That's not a guarantee. They can definitely break to the upside, but there's a higher probability of them breaking to the downside. If you want to get the actual stats, you can look up the Encyclopedia of Chart Patterns. It'll tell you. I haven't done that. I've read it. I haven't read it like a book, but I've had a look through a fair chunk of it. I just can't remember the exact ratios. There is this daily supply that we formed, you know, off this evening star. It's pretty weak, right? We didn't make a lower low. I really like to see market structure changes in my strong zones. We didn't make a lower low. We've just pushed down a little bit, sort of hit the bottom of this ascending wedge. So I don't think this supply zone is going to be a super strong level for us to you know, it's not going to take a lot for us to break it, but it is definitely there at the moment. To the downside, we've got this demand zone, which did lead to a market structure change, right? So I'm talking about this zone here, where we pushed up and out, and you can see it broke this previous high. So it does have some strength. It's not a huge push and break, so probably not a super strong zone, but certainly stronger than I would expect this supply zone to the upside to be. So when I look at this on the daily, I think, okay, we're probably due to retrace, right? An ascending wedge, bearish pattern, huge move without really any retracement. You know, we're talking 60, 70%. So over the course of the next couple of months, that is sort of something like what I expect to see. You know, as I say pretty much every week, we could just go and break all-time high from here. I have certainly seen ascending wedges that break to the upside. And as I'll explain on the 4 hour, I do think, so normally I would be happy to short from the daily supply zone. In fact, I'll draw that back in. It is about that, I'm pretty sure. Normally I'm pretty happy to short from those levels. Actually, it might be a bit tighter. Something like that. Because it's a region of maximum opportunity. I don't consider that the case here because it's so wide. I'm going to get a really poor risk reward, right? If I enter a short based off this level, you'll see in my previous videos I'm normally targeting, you know, minimum 3 to 1. It's getting up to, you know, a lot of them are like 6, 7, 10 to 1 every now and then. With this, it's like a 2 to 1. Right, you know, I'd have to be targeting so far down to get any sort of decent risk to reward. So for that reason, I don't want to be shorting from this zone. It does line up with 61.8, which is good. It's just a bad risk reward. If there's no, it doesn't matter like what I think is going to happen. If the risk reward's not there, I'm not taking the trade. So those are the two things that I see as, you know, sort of likely to play out. Either we reject here, sort of come down, confirm the ascending wedge, like retest it and then break further down, possible. Or we go up. There's like a 1 hour level through here. I looked at it before, so it's going to be pretty weak. Potentially something like that, head to new all-time highs. And I think if we come anywhere near this 1 hour zone, right, I could short from there and get a really good risk reward, but with how high up it is there and the fact we're all-time high, if we get anywhere near that zone, I feel like there'll be a lot of bullish momentum. As soon as people think we're going to break all-time high, which will start happening as we close up into this zone, people are going to start going long. This zone's probably not going to hold out against that. It's a 1 hour zone. It's reasonably weak. Last week, I did take longs, or try to take longs from this demand zone that I've got marked out here. I missed the bottom of this wick by not much, which is disappointing, but it happens. It's part of trading. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at for the week. The only trades that I have orders in currently for, I've still got them here for this long. I do think, especially before we broke this level, so there was a supply zone here with the 50 fib. We've now broken through that. Before we broke that, I did think there was a decent chance we were sort of going to see a move down here to just sort of get some strength and then start moving up. Now that we've wicked up through that, not as convinced, but there is still a 61 and that supply zone I was talking about, so we definitely could see a move to the downside. And there's also a daily level through there. I won't put all my daily stuff back on because it makes it really messy, but there is that daily level I was talking about before. So, I do think that area could definitely see some buying strength if price gets down there. And that's always the way I like to trade, right? I just like to think of it as, where do I want to do business? Right now, don't want to do business there. Quite happy to do business here. Not happy to do the business there because of the risk to reward. So that's my trades for the week. All right. Hopefully you guys are having a ripper start to your week. Hopefully you had a great week trading last week. And yeah, if you've got any questions, any thoughts, any ideas, if you like my new logo, let me know. And hope you're having a ripper week. I'll talk to you guys soon.